BC and Alberta, population growth, I mean, it really is going to change the face of Parliament and our democratic institutions, one of which, of course, isn't really democratic, namely the Senate, where we're looking at today. So these weighty issues were simply too big to handle in the minority Parliament, and you've already discussed the constitutional challenges. This time, I think that once this session gets going, in the fall, I think, rather than in this very brief June session, you're going to see some very heavyweight issues which have the potential to really change the character of our Parliament. And then I think you'll see a lot more attention turning to these debates, even if today it's a little bit of déjà vu.
All right, thanks, Terry. The fanfare welcoming the Governor-General and Mrs. Johnston into the Senate chamber.
Please be seated.
Now, this is going to take a few minutes because they have to go through the formalities here, first of all, of inviting all the members of Parliament to come down to the Senate chamber to listen. And so let's watch how
Usher
that
of the Black Rod,
unfolds.
you will proceed to the House of Commons and acquaint that House that it is the pleasure of His Excellency the Governor-General that they attend him immediately in the Senate chamber. You will proceed to the
House of Commons and acquaint that House that it is the pleasure of His Excellency the Governor-General that they attend him immediately in the Senate chamber.
And so the acting Black Rod, the gentleman usher of the Black Rod, heads out of the Senate chamber, and he will walk down to the House of Commons to give that instruction to the parliamentarians in the other chamber, that the Governor-General awaits their arrival. This is Blair Armitage, and if you're wondering why we have an acting Black Rod today, it's because the current Black Rod is tied up on duties getting ready for the royal visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. So for Blair Armitage, this is his day in front of the cameras on an important moment in this new Parliament. Just leaving the Senate side of the center block, we'll then walk through the Rotunda area, gorgeous spot here on Parliament Hill. And enter the House of Commons side and walk down what is sort of affectionately called the Prime Minister's Road, because of all the portraits, the official portraits of the Prime Ministers that are hung on the walls here. See Jean Chrétien, Kim Campbell, John Turner. On the left-hand side, here we got Lester Pearson, I think, there on the right, going by fairly quickly here, so you got to catch him fast. And we head to the giant oak, I think, doors leading into the House of Commons, and do the famous tap 3 times.
Right, left, turn.
And the doors open. A lot of anxious MPs inside who yesterday went through the process of electing a new speaker. Andrew Scheer is his name, and he is a young guy, youngest speaker ever in the Canadian Parliament.
Message de Son Excellence le Gouverneur-Général. The message from His Excellency the Governor-General.
So the Black Rod tells the Sergeant-at-Arms he's got a message for the Speaker of the House of Commons. This is the Sergeant of Arms for the House of Commons.
Monsieur le Président, message de Son Excellence, le Gouverneur Général. Mr. Speaker, message from His Excellency, the Governor General.
Admit the messenger. Faites entrer le messager.
Places the mace on his shoulder, which always sits on the table there in Parliament when it is in session. Invites the acting usher of the Black Rod to enter the chamber. There you see the Liberal Party in the background there, stuffed down in the back end corner. They've never been down there. Interim leader Bob Rae. The NDP off to the left there on your picture.
Mr.
Government
Speaker,
benches on the right.
It is the desire of His Excellency the Governor General that this honourable House do attend him immediately in the Senate chamber. Monsieur le Président, c'est le désir de Son Excellence le Gouverneur Général que cette honorable Chambre se rende immédiatement près de lui à la salle du Sénat.
So Black Rod's job has been done. The invitation has been offered to the House of Commons and has been accepted. And they'll begin the procession back down towards the Senate chamber. Keep in mind, as the MPs follow the new Speaker, there he is, Andrew Scheer, they will not be allowed right inside the Senate chamber. They just get up to the what's called the bar of the Senate. They can stand there to watch this. There's not enough room for all 308 of them, but certainly many of the new ones will want to be there to see their first speech from the throne read inside the Senate chamber. So this is the class of 2011. There are 308 elected members of the House of Commons. This is one of those days where they all tend to walk out together, not in their individual party groupings, but there you have that kind of thing is going on throughout Parliament Hill there, the shaking of hands, introducing themselves to each other. There's Elizabeth May. She's promised 100% support from her caucus to the new rules of decorum in the House of Commons that seem to be at play, and not formal rules, but everybody's saying they're going to do a better job this time around. It's the kind of thing that often is said on day one of any parliament. We'll see how many days it goes. And if you're wondering why we saw Elizabeth May with a cane at that moment, she's awaiting hip surgery. Remember Jack Layton's hip surgery, which was just before the election campaign. And he had a vigorous campaign, kept that cane throughout it, and he's still using it, if not all the time, certainly on occasion now. So here's Black Rod arriving inside the Senate. And we're just moments away then from the formal reading of the speech from the throne. So as soon as all the MPs get in there, or as many as can get in, the Speaker of the House of Commons will have his moment in the Senate. 32 years old, from Saskatchewan.
May it please Your Excellency, the House of Commons has elected me their Speaker, though I am but little able to fill the important duties thus assigned to me. If, in the performance of those duties, I should at any time fall into error, I pray that the fault may be imputed to me and not to the Commons, whose servant I am, and who, through me, the better to enable them to discharge their duty to their Queen and country, humbly claim all their undoubted rights and privileges, especially that they may have freedom of speech in their debates, access to Your Excellency's person at all seasonable times, and that the proceedings may receive from Your Excellency the most favorable construction. Qu'il plaise à votre Excellence. La Chambre des Communes,
the House of Commons has elected me their Speaker, though I am but little able to fulfill the important duties thus assigned to me. If, in the performance of those duties, I should at any time fall into error, I pray that the fault may be imputed to me and not to the Commons, whose servant I am, and who, through me, the better to enable them to discharge their duty to their Queen and country, humbly claim all their undoubted rights and privileges, especially that they may have freedom of speech in their debates, access to Your Excellency's person at all seasonable times, and that their proceedings may receive from Your Excellency the most favorable construction.
Mr. Speaker, I am commanded by His Excellency the Governor-General to declare to you that he freely confides in the duty and attachment of the House of Commons to Her Majesty's person and government, and not doubting that their proceedings will be conducted with wisdom, temper, and prudence. He grants and upon all occasions will recognize and allow their constitutional privileges. I am commanded also to assure you that the Commons shall have ready access to His Excellency upon all seasonable occasions, and that their proceedings, as well as your words and actions, will constantly receive from him the most favorable construction. Monsieur le Président,
I am commanded by His Excellency the Governor-General to declare to you that he freely confides in the duty and attachment of the House of Commons to Her Majesty's person and government, and not doubting that their proceedings will be conducted with wisdom, temper, and prudence. He grants and upon all occasions will recognize and allow their constitutional privileges. I am commanded also to assure you that the Commons shall have ready access to His Excellency upon all seasonable occasions, and that their proceedings, as well as your words and actions, will constantly receive from him the most favorable construction.
The speech now being brought to the Governor-General.
Thank you, Monsieur.
And we begin the reading of it.
Honorable Senators, members of the House of Commons, ladies and gentlemen, I begin by congratulating all parliamentarians on this opening day of the 41st Parliament of Canada on my own behalf and on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, who sends her congratulations and warm good wishes. Many of you are returning to your duties as members of the House of Commons, and over 100 of you are about to take your places as elected representatives for the first time. Together, you have been entrusted with a profound responsibility to serve the public interest on behalf of all Canadians.
In the months since my installation as Governor-General, I have had the privilege of meeting with Canadians in their communities and at Rideau Hall and La Citadelle. It has been an honor to answer this unique call to service, and I want to share with you something of what I have learned in my travels across this remarkable country of ours. I have learned that regardless of age or affiliation, all Canadians want to help create a better future for this country. Each of us aspires to a Canada where everyone can succeed and contribute, where excellence and opportunity coexist. I have met with Canadians from all walks of life and discovered this common ground.
In 2017, we will celebrate the 150th anniversary of Confederation, and I invite all Canadians to imagine ways to build a smarter, more caring nation as we approach this wonderful milestone. I believe that in order to achieve our vision, we must work together to support families and children, to reinforce learning and innovation, and to encourage philanthropy and volunteerism. Each of us can answer the call to service in our own way, and together continue this bold experiment that we call Canada. Canadians have expressed their desire for a strong, stable national government in this new Parliament. With this clear mandate, our government will deliver on its commitments. It will implement the next phase of Canada's economic action plan to build on the progress already made. It will continue to focus on jobs and growth. It will bring the federal budget back into balance. It will invest in our system of universal health care. It will support the communities and families that work so hard to care for each other. Our government will defend the rights of law-abiding citizens, and it will promote Canadian values and interests at home and abroad. Our government will be here for all Canadians, for individuals, for families, and for all regions of the country, as together we move Canada forward. Jobs and growth will remain our government's top priority.
Through Canada's Economic Action Plan, our government took direct action to create jobs and protect Canadians during the global recession. On Monday, as our first order of business, our government will reintroduce our budget in order to implement the next phase of Canada's Economic Action Plan, our low-tax plan for jobs and growth. We will get back to work on the things that matter most to Canadians: good jobs, security for our families, and a prosperous future. Our government's plan builds on 5 years of hard work to create the right conditions for growth and job creation. A stable, predictable, low-tax environment, a highly skilled and flexible workforce, support for innovation and new technologies, and wider access to markets abroad. This approach has allowed Canada to meet the challenges of the global recession. The next phase of our government's plan is designed to help us stay on track during the recovery. Since 2006, Canadians have benefited from significant broad-based tax cuts. These cuts have given families the flexibility to make the choices that are right for them. They have freed businesses to grow and succeed, creating the jobs on which Canadians depend. Our government will continue on this path by introducing new tax credits for individuals and families, and by keeping taxes low to create jobs. It will also complete work already underway with the Government of Quebec to reach an agreement on tax harmonization no later than September 15, 2011.
However, there is more to be done. The global economy remains fragile, and risks to our recovery persist. As well, Canada's workforce is aging, and it will no longer grow as it has in the past. This demographic challenge will impact our economic future and put long-term pressures on our pension and health systems that must be addressed. In the years ahead, our prosperity will also depend on making sure that all Canadians have the skills